course, you're recognised as one of the most successful managers. You have managed in the football and hurling codes. I suppose a lot of people are wondering, myself included, what is the biggest difference, between managing a football and a hurling team?
I suppose overall, when it's a team sport, there isn't that much difference. I mean, you're trying to, to get your panel together and your backroom team, and you're trying to build a team, and guys really buy into that, whether they're footballers or hurlers. I suppose just the games are slightly different, but there's a lot there. You just have to man up really, and perform at your best. So those type of motivations and work that you'll go through are similar really, in that you want everyone to perform at their best and have confidence in their ability, and to play to a system and to improve. I would say continuously improving is huge for any player really, with club or county or underage. Hurling has different aspects to it, but Shane would have touched on them earlier really. So some of it is defensive play now, and that has come into hurling, and the games evolve as well. Football has, there are systems there. I think the ability to be able to break really at pace is where a lot of teams get bogged down, and really they all want to go defensive, but even Kerry now and Tyrone and Dublin, and the pace that they break at and the ability, the athleticism that they have. So it has changed. Kickouts are now huge, and maybe this man here was responsible for a lot of it. They're huge resets. The goalie in both hurling and football now has the most plays, and you'll see that now as well in hurling, where that has evolved really, where if you contrast the Tipperary goalie, Gleeson, I think his puck outs the last, they probably let him down a small bit compared to O'Keefe yesterday and Nash for Cork, as an example. They, if it's not happening, that they're able to vary the puck outs. Same on football really. So there are aspects that are similar, and there are certain plays. But if you're a forward, you're always pushing that you want to score and you want to take on your man, and you want to maybe not play the same every second or third play, that you vary it. So a lot of similarities, but the games are slightly different for sure. But it's enjoyable for me, and you'd hope to you try and get the best spirit as you can as well. And Shane's coaching style would be very much that that there's positivity, and it's But sometimes you've got to call a spade as well, and if somebody is below the mark, you've got to maybe highlight that or ask for improvement, and I suppose that would have changed as well over the years, that you now sit down more logically with a player, and where can you improve and what can you do.
Well, of course, you were very successful with a club that's close to us here now in the Hudson Bay, Garrycastle. Shane, you would probably still very sore. You getting Garrycastle to the All Ireland Club Championship. Having managed Garrycastle, club team to the All Ireland, then if you were to take over a football team now, do you reckon that the style of play and of course the setup, do you think it would have changed much, or was it still very professional back then?
You'd have to have it very professional to get success really, and a lot of clubs are really professional now and very well organised, and players demand that and clubs demand that, and I would say that the bar has definitely gone up. Every club wants to win, and at the start of the year sit down and do the planning. But unfortunately, only one can win a junior championship or an intermediate championship or a senior championship. There's only one winner. But the other side as well, that you do have to build it. It doesn't come overnight. And I'd go back to underage success as well. You do have to have young players coming. We saw that with Cork this year in the hurling, for example. And same with, say, Roscommon there now. We highlighted their under 17s, and it'll take time. That's the other side of it. People want overnight success as well, and that doesn't happen. But look, it's great to be involved. But for it's sport, and I suppose we'd love if we were doing it every day of the week, but that's not possible in Ireland, unfortunately. But it's a great interest to have.
Well, of course, in football and hurling codes, there is manager vacancies around the country. Dublin senior hurling job is vacant, and one job that your name seems to be cropping up and is the Westmeath football job. the reporters in the Westmeath Topic and Westmeath Examiner are very hopeful that you would be interested in it. So have you given any thoughts to the year ahead, or any jobs that you're interested in?
Honest answer, I haven't, but I suppose I'd be humbled that I'd be mentioned in papers or in conversations with taking vacancies that are there. I suppose that's humbling for me. But really, it was just the summer. I'm involved with coaching at underage and adult level as the summer's gone through, and for me, just doing that piece of work first. But I guess it'll happen in September, October, November. That's probably the usual time for inter-counties. So for me, I haven't given any thought, but I'm sort of grateful that I'd be mentioned in those circles. But have to wait and see, I suppose.
Well, of course, one job that you are linked with is the Dublin senior hurling job, and of course Dublin have some great hurlers that haven't been as successful as they would have hoped to have been, especially considering their camogie has experienced success. Their Dublin ladies are contenders for the All-Ireland final, along with their Dublin's men's footballers. So I suppose the Dublin hurlers are the one code they haven't been as successful as they would have liked to have been. So they would need a manager, I suppose, with the experience that you have. So is it something that you would be interested in? Because the Dublin have expressed that they would be interested.
The Dublin hurling job is a plum job. There's no doubt, and no denying that. No denying that one would be interested in, definitely in supporting Dublin whatever way one could, because as you said correctly, say they have good underage success. They've progressed hugely in the last 10 years in the development of the game right across the capital. And in fairness, Gerard Cunningham has done a good job. Previously, Anthony Daly had done a tremendous job, really, in getting the profile of the game up. And Gerard has had a difficult time there, because he took on a policy that he'd bring a lot of new players in, and that's difficult to do in one season or two seasons. Yeah. And you do need a bit of time on that. But yeah, for sure, they're brilliant, skillful players. They'll want to be boxing at a higher level than you correctly say, definitely, Chloe, because they are better than they've probably played this year. And that would have been a disappointment for the capital, and definitely there's huge potential there. Can they overnight come to challenge Kilkenny and Wexford and Galway in a lesser campaign? It probably will take time. But again, it's a privilege to be even mentioned. But Dublin will go through, John Costello, the CEO. They'll go through a process, and they'll take their time, and they'll weigh up really what's best. Profile-wise and experience-wise and development-wise for the county, and all the counties do that now. There are vacancies right across in Offaly and Westmeath, Laois, Donegal, and counties got so professional now in the sport. It's got so professional, really, in inverted commas, because they're taking a leaf out of other successful stories. But patience is a big thing as well, and it does take time.
Well, Shane, you have great admiration for Anthony, and you're well versed, to the managing scene yourself, and you have, seen the work that Anthony has done, of course, at Garrycastle, Galway, other jobs as well. We mentioned the Dublin senior hurling job and the Westmeath senior football job there. Is there a particular job that you would like to see Anthony in, or even across, other than them two teams? Yeah,
well, I was fortunate enough also to be managed by Anthony with Bridget's for 3 years, and from 5 to 8, and 7 and 8, and I know that he brings huge experience, huge positivity, but also huge organisational structure to teams that he's been involved with, and obviously highly successful at the high end of the sport. And no matter where Anthony goes, or no matter what job he takes, it's going to be the team that has him, the county that has him, will be very, very lucky, because again, there are transitional times in counties, and that success that counties are looking for, it doesn't come overnight. You have to stick to a roadmap, stick to a pathway, and it requires a certain skill set to bring counties up a level, and Anthony certainly has that. He's proven in that record, and whatever county Anthony does take, I think when he leaves the county, they will be in an awful lot better spot than when he took them over. And I think that's the best thing that can be said about any manager when they go in is, can you improve the systems, can you improve the roadmap for the players, and can you inspire them? And I think that's something that Anthony's skill sets are well easily transferred to, and I'd like to see him possibly over Roscommon in time. I think he'd be brilliant for the county. Kevin is obviously the incumbent there at the moment. The hurling jobs are obviously on the horizon. I think it's essentially, quite rightly said, Dublin job is the plum job, and probably the only problem for Dublin is that he'd have the hurling as popular as the football, and that would be the McCarthy Cup could be heading to the east side, and the boys in blue on the hill will be very, very happy with Anthony at the helm.
Okay, well, we're done with putting you on the spot just for today, but thank you for tuning in to GAA Sunrise. You can join us next week as well, as we record another show as part of our 6-episode series. So thanks very much again to the Hudson Bay Hotel, and of course to these two great men, Anthony Cunningham and Shane Curran.